I've never had a time in my professional life where Americans have been more concerned about their own self-protection. Hey, everybody, I'm answering your questions this week. This week's question is, what is the biggest self-defense mistake you see people making? All right, I'm going to answer that. But before I do, go to timlarkin.com, get your free masterclass. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And that is how we grow, folks. You guys have been the reason we're doing it. Now, listen, looking at biggest self-defense mistakes, you can't really put it into one thing. I would say overriding issue that I see is people are being sold a myth that under stress, you cannot accurately target the human body, which is just absolute ridiculousness. I think really, though, that is a byproduct of not understanding and taking the time to look at trauma to the human body and understanding how the body responds to trauma. You know, I have called trauma to the human body the Rosetta Stone for self-protection. And again, now we're talking about when you have to actually physically protect yourself from another human being who is trying to do grievous bodily harm to you. So pulling back from that, you know, you really don't want it to get to that point. And so some of the biggest mistakes I see are people not understanding how to communicate in public, not knowing when to shut up, not knowing when to pull back, not realizing that they know nothing about the other person they're having an interaction with or people that they're having an interaction with, and they have no idea how those people will respond to any aggressive behavior, albeit just verbally, on your part. You could probably aggressively talk to somebody the way you berate others in your social circles or in your work circles, and you could find yourself on the other end of a vicious beating for being that way. So again, pulling back even further, we talked about if you have to use self-protection, you need to know where to put your efforts. So that's worst case scenario. We then pulled back and talked about communication. And so what does that really mean? That really means understanding the human animal, human nature. And that is probably the one place that I continually try to improve my knowledge base on. I've suggested books in the past. Robert Greene's book, The Laws of Human Nature, is outstanding. He also wrote The Laws of 48 Powers, which is great. The Laws of Strategy. His books are good. The reason they're great is because they're really well laid out and they have a lot of supporting material behind them. So you can easily understand the concepts that he's there. But I would say if you only had one of those, I would say Law of Human Nature is probably even more useful than the 48 Laws of Power, because that's what we're always dealing with. We're dealing with another human. And that's where we fail mostly. Things get physical usually because we fail at the human level to understand what's going on and understand what's going on around us. You know, the human animal is a very different species from anything else in the way we communicate. And the more I study, the more I realize that most of my mistakes that I've made in the past is not understanding human nature correctly for the situation that I was involved in. And I would highly, highly recommend that in addition to the physical training that you do for your self-protection, whatever it is, that you immerse yourself in understanding all of those around us, the species, who we are, how we interact with each other, how we communicate with each other. Because those are the clues that will come to you so that you don't have to understand how to injure the human body. Now listen, only very few of you are going to take me up on this. Most of you are much more interested in learning, you know, how to break the human body and do all the dynamic stuff that you think is so important. I see getting to that point, much the way Sun Tzu sees it, is a failure. If it gets to the point to where I'm having to start break things on the human body to save my own life, I probably failed somewhere along in the process to recognize an opportunity for me to get out of there ahead of time. Why? Most likely because I didn't understand human nature. So If this is disappointing, good. I hope it makes you think. If not, check out, I would say, if you want a great first source, and the reason I recommend Robert Greene's book, The Laws of Human Nature, is because he's pulled from a lot of different sources. And so you get a lot of great sources in just one book. It's a big book, but it is worth your time. The audiobook is excellent. So I can't recommend it enough. And any of his products will really help you better understand the humans around you. And that's really your biggest superpower when it comes to your self-protection. So again, until next time, stay safe, keep sending the questions in, and I'll see you soon.